It's the all-wheel drive event at Lithia Ford of Boise. From hunting trips to ski trips to trips to Grandma's house. Nobody does AWD like LFB, Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
Eat Lux your way with the Lux Cravings boxes from Taco Bell. There's the classic $5 box, the indulgent $7 box, and a whole new obsession in the $9 box, the Flamin' Hot Grilled Cheese Burrito. Try the Lux Cravings boxes at Taco Bell today.
Find your sun with Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea. Made with real iced tea and real vodka. Cold, refreshing, and made for moments like these all year long. Let the good times cruise with Sun Cruiser.
As sports fans, we may cheer for different teams, but there's one thing that we can all agree on. We want the game to be big. And with 3 levels, 30 cabanas, a 143-foot screen, 6 clean pools, and endless cold drinks, it doesn't get any bigger or any better than Stadium Swim in Las Vegas. All sports, all seasons. It's more than a pool deck. Stadium Swim. It's the only thing like it in the world.
The final buzzer is sounded on another night of Mountain West basketball, and it's time to break down the action with Tom Moser on another night in the Mountain West, presented by Circa Sports. Headed to Las Vegas for the Mountain West tournament in March? Make sure to stay at Circa Las Vegas and watch all the action at Stadium Swim, where the sports are on 365 days a year. Another night in the Mountain West has interviews, analysis, opinions after the final Mountain West basketball game of the day wraps up. All BNN broadcasts come from the Sun Cruiser Studios. Sunny days call for Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea, made with real iced tea and real vodka. It's refreshingly smooth and easy to drink. Crack open a Sun Cruiser and let the good times cruise. The title sponsor of Bronco Nation News is Lithia Ford of Boise. Check out our full inventory of vehicles online at lithiafordboise.com. Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho. Did your team just get a big win? Suffer a bad loss? Come discuss it with us. Send us a comment or question in the ICCU YouTube chat, or leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/BNN. Now let's go to the Sun Cruiser Studios and join Tom Moser for another night in the Mountain West on Bronco Nation News.
Hey, everybody, what's up? It is another night in the Mountain West, Friday night, January the 30th. So technically just crossed over into the 31st here on the East Coast, last day of January, upcoming on Saturday. 2 games tonight. Sun Cruiser along for the ride. Appreciate them. Go get yourself some Sun Cruiser. Down at the bottom says right there, subscribe to another night in the Mountain West at Mountain West BNN. Have been getting more subscriptions. Appreciate that. Always up for more. So look, couple games tonight. Not the most thrilling again. I guess this is back-to-back nights where we had a pair of games. We had it Wednesday. We had it tonight where both games ended up with double-figure margins and not a lot of drama. That's all right. Got to give credit where credit's due with the winning teams. We'll pick apart some of the stuff with the losing teams. We'll hit on tomorrow's stuff as well. Patrick, buddy of mine, needs winners tomorrow. We'll see what we can do there. Tatis, what's up, coach? Hey. How are you? Thanks for being here. New Mexico, Utah State, Fresno, and Wyoming. They're your winners, I guess. New Mexico, Utah State, Fresno, and Wyoming. All right. And Han says perhaps the best offensive performance for GCU tonight. We'll get to that one second because, as always, I will backtrack and hit on the late game here. They were clicking on all cylinders, and Boise did not have an answer. And look, it felt like it was an electric environment there, as was expected. I was wrong about that one. I did think it was a very good spot here for Boise to get this W tonight, but full credit to Grand Canyon. One thing I did know would be in place was the environment that was there for GCU with the Havocs and the student section and all of that. And that did not disappoint. So let's get Paulie. The guard for UNLV is Miles Che. He played for UC Irvine last year, was a very good guard in the Big West, and would have been the starter at point guard for UNLV, which would have allowed Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn to move off the point and play the 2 guard, which is where he's probably more suited. And it definitely would have changed the tenor of their look a little bit. Would it have improved their – I really don't know. I mean, he comes from a winning program. He seemed – I didn't watch a ton of Big West basketball, but he seems to understand the game. Is he coming back? I don't think so. And then you have to wonder if he'll ever play a game for for UNLV, because who knows? What does he want to be around that? Really don't know. Really don't know. We'll see. And yet, Sean, I noticed that before the game. The announcer said it too. I mentioned the GCU environment and atmosphere. Let's not bat an eye at the Nevada one, because, they were ready to go tonight for the rivalry against UNLV. UNLV was not really ready for the rivalry. And Nicholas, you are correct. I had said, I think he means so much for Boise rattling off 10 in a row, because I said probably on Wednesday, I guess, when we were done, that if they I didn't think they would do it, but I said it was possible. They had an opportunity to do what CSU did last year and run off 10 in a row and sneak into the at-large picture. But you can pretty much officially now stick a fork in that. They're going to have to win 4 games in 4 days in the Mountain West Conference tournament to make the big dance. There's no way around that right now at all. Han, you're not the only one that's disappointed in UNLV. They do rarely show up. And that, to my point, what I was just talking about to Paulie about Miles Che, does he want to stick around for that, right? It's easy to sell somebody a bill of goods, and I hate to say that when I talk about Pastner, but I think, most people who are familiar with him, whether it was at Memphis, Georgia Tech, in the TV studio at ESPN, all that stuff, he's a talker. He's like a Calipari type of guy, like a salesman, right? It's easy for him to sell you come here, Vegas, you're going to run the show, it's going to whatever, and it may or may not work out, but at least you got him for that year, right? Well, when you get him and then he's injured and doesn't play, then he sits on a bench. He's at every practice. He's at every game watching this play out. And what's he thinking to himself as he's watching this play out here, right? And maybe he's like, I don't, this is way different than it was at Irvine. Somebody else would offer the guy money to go play. I know he missed the whole season here, but he's a good player. Somebody else would offer him money to go play somewhere next year, right? And so I don't know. I hope he stays, but am I going to be surprised if he bolts and heads into the portal? Absolutely not. Okay. And yes, there's no doubt that it didn't ruin the season, because they still have other guys. It hurt their season. Jared thinks he's gone. Wouldn't surprise me at all, of course. Of course he could be gone. So let's talk about Nevada, because they showed up tonight. I'll pull the stats up quickly, show them on the screen here for a minute-ish. 89-76, 50. Now, the second half just got up and down, up and down, up and down. 56-48 in the second half alone. So here I am after, if in regulation on Tuesday night against Grand Canyon, that was 53-53 going to overtime. And as I said before, if Bonner doesn't call that foul, they end the game with 50 points against Grand Canyon. They scored 56 in the second half alone tonight. And that there was no fouling in there. Like, UNLV didn't foul down the stretch because the game, they just played out the string the last couple minutes. And Nevada didn't even, a couple buckets there in the last minute or two, but it's not like they piled it on late. That was just ridiculous efficiency, poor defense by UNLV, but that kind of goes with the territory. You kind of figure you're getting that. But very good offense by Nevada. So look at what, and Camper was unconscious, 11 for 15, 5 for 7 from deep, 32 points. Elijah Price, He did 22, but 14 for 15 from the line. So that's where he did most of his work. 11 boards. Good job there. And everybody else contributed. Lowry with 8, Weems with 9, Comer 4. Bailey, was the only one who really was 1 for 5 for 3 points. TR 5 off the bench. So they shot 58%. Once again, and this is what I like about Nevada. I'll tell you things I don't like. I'll tell you things I like. They took 50 shots and only 14 were threes, and they made 8. Now, look, when you take high percentage shots, you're going to make more. If they take 6 more, maybe 4 or 5 of them are rushed and they're bad shots, and you miss them. Instead, you take good shots. You make 8 out of 14. Again, I don't think they're a superb three-point shooting team, but when you get good looks and you take good shots, you're going to make a higher percentage. So good for them. They only turned it over 7 times, which is not a high number at all in a high possession game. A lot of possessions. Now, again, UNLV is not exactly getting after you defensively, so you really shouldn't turn it over a ton. But still, to only do it 7 times, you'll take that. Now, UNLV only turned it over 10 times, and they shot 46%. They scored 76 points. They were pretty efficient offensively, too. The rebounds, dead even, 30-30. It's just Nevada shot at 12% higher, 58-46. Gibbs Lawhorn at 26, Williamson at 10. They missed Jones. He's their spark plug for a team. Somebody said it before. They look like they just don't play super hard, which you really hate to say about anybody in college. This is Division I at a pretty high level here we're playing. You shouldn't have many games, as I talked about the other night, where they aren't playing hard. He just doesn't. Gibbs Lawhorn gets after it, but some of the other guys, it's just like they're just kind of coming and going, playing a pickup game. Tyron Jones is not like that. The problem is he's hurt. So when he's not in the lineup, I think it just takes some juice out. It takes wind out of their sails. It just does, unfortunately. So I wanted to look at one other thing there on the Nevada 1.39 points per possession. Even UNLV 1.18. Those are pretty high numbers, pretty efficient offensive numbers there for both teams. But again, look, this was the crowd was jacked up for Nevada. They wanted this game. UNLV, at least they showed up a little bit more. I don't think they played great. I don't know that they're capable of playing great very often. Clearly, they did it last midweek, I guess, when they knocked off Utah State. But now since then, they've lost by double figures at home to San Diego State. They lost by 30 at home to New Mexico, and they lose by 13. This was not a 13-point game if you guys watched it. This was a mass, 20-point game most of the second half, right? Jones is lanky and raw, but man, is he athletic, and he's got good instincts. He knows how to play. We'll see. We'll see what Pastner does. The Mountain West is going to need him to get it going because he has to do it. And Pastner, Jarrett, he was complaining. He pulled the old Leon Rice the other day and complained about the fans. And then he did what Leon did. He kind of backtracked. And then today he took ownership for it and said, I have to do a better job of getting out in the community and getting people to come to the games, and we need to win more. And, what do you expect the backlash to be when you say that, right? You're 10-10, now you're 10-11. You have a couple good wins, no doubt, but you have it's almost like, I don't know how you look at it like this, but I think the fans would almost trade in those good wins. Like they definitely sacrificed those wins at Stanford and at Memphis to not have those embarrassing losses on the resume. You hate to say that because it's great to get those good wins, and you'll take the one at Utah State for sure. But it's like, man, when you lose those games that you lost, that just crushes you as a program, confidence wise and like momentum wise, recruiting and stuff. It's like, man, you're losing to who, and you lost 4 quad 4 games. Like, this is ridiculous, right? Or 3 quad 4 games, whatever it is, a couple quad 3s. So it's like, it's great that you win against the quad 1s that you have, the couple quad 1 wins that you have. But man, can we eliminate those on both ends and just win the games you're supposed to and not lose the games that you're not supposed to? So, but I don't know what Pastner expects when he calls the fans out because Leon did it. It didn't work well for Leon a few weeks ago when he did it. He got backlash for it, and then he had to pull back on it and say, well, I didn't really say that. That was taken out of context. It wasn't taken out of context. That's what you said. You meant it. You just kind of, people didn't like it, and you got told about it. Same thing with Pastner here. And the only way to fix that is by winning. And at 10-11, that's not what's happening right now. But look, 16-6 for Nevada. That's pretty good. 8-3 in the conference. They're obviously, we all know their 3 losses are to the teams ahead of them in the standings. They will get a chance to play 2 of them at home in the return trips. So they are kind of hanging around. If, they maybe the game on Tuesday when they squeaked that one out against Grand Canyon is something that we'll be talking about in 4 weeks when they're only a game behind with 3 games to play. Nevada's still hanging in there, all because they won that Grand Canyon game. Who knows, right? If they can win their home games and beat them, there's no reason they can't beat New Mexico at home. I mean, Utah State will be difficult for them to win at home, but they can do it. I mean, they can do it for sure. Obviously, we know that winning at San Diego State is going to be a tough task. So what you have to do then as a Nevada fan is root against like San Diego State. You got to root for Utah State tomorrow, right? You have to root for the Aztecs to have a couple losses piled on there. So if they do beat you, they would have the tiebreaker and you would need to finish ahead of them. But anyway, Nevada student section, Johnny says over 4,000. It looked pretty big. I'll be honest. I had it on both screens and I was watching simultaneously, and I had the volume on that one mainly because I wasn't fond of the announcers in the Boise game, but I was more invested most of the time in the Boise game because it was closer, even though it wasn't even close. Once Nevada got out 21-9, I wasn't really focused on watching the crowd and stuff in that game, but it looked like a good atmosphere. Right at the beginning, you could tell they showed the stands, and all that stuff. Mike, 32 for Camper. Yeah, talked about that, and I did say the record. So, I mean, look, if you would have said before the season started that you'd be 16-6 and 8-3, I think you would take it. We all know you want the game back against UC Davis. We all know you had chances to win some of the games that you dropped here, especially like the San Diego State game. That was a one-possession game for the entirety of it. You had a lead for large portions of it. And even the other games you didn't play poorly either. It was just a matter of getting over the hump. Maybe that's what you needed in the Grand Canyon game. So good job. Now the big test is going to be going and trying to get a win at Boise now on, I guess it's Tuesday. I'm pretty sure it's Tuesday. I think the only game in the midweek that's Wednesday is New Mexico and Utah State. So that would make it Tuesday up at Extra Mile. We'll talk about Boise in a minute. And so in Pastner's defense, more people go to volleyball games in Henderson and UNLV basketball. Yeah, Pastner's got to do something about it, no doubt about it. Yeah, Nevada at Boise on Tuesday. Boise beat New Mexico by double figures at home. If they can, Nevada can. Yeah, I mean, there's some truth to that. If that crowd shows like tonight, yeah, for sure. Look, I did see that Armo Trading was moved up to questionable on the injury report today, and I think he's been listed as out for a long time. So maybe he is getting closer to a return. I don't know, but that would be obviously a good thing for the Pack if they can get him back. So, can they go up there and win at Boise? Boise's momentum clearly was stunted a little bit tonight. They'd won 4 in a row. Now, it's the old argument. People wanted to kind of say, well, they haven't beaten anybody. All true. But again, the numbers look good. And they didn't move up 27 spots in KenPom by just winning against bad teams. You have to do it efficiently, and they had done it efficiently. Now, they ran up against a better team tonight. Grand Canyon's a very good team, okay? Boise's going to go home. I don't know where their mindset will be at. Sure, they'll want a little bit of get back because they lost at Lawler, so they're going to want some payback. But who knows? Obviously, they're not foolproof there. They lost to Grand Canyon by double figures. They got smoked by Utah State. Now, there's no shame in losing to those teams, but it's the point being they can lose at home. Nevada shows up and plays the way they did tonight, and for parts of the game Tuesday, because I don't think they played great in the first half, even though some of that credit goes to Grand Canyon. And they certainly will have a shot to win that game. So that's one that you got to get if you're Nevada and you want to stay in that top 4 mix, because look, Grand Canyon's not going anywhere, right? I've been saying for a week and a half now, it's maybe time for them to have a bad game in here and throw a clunker in, and they just refuse to do so. I mean, they did lose the other night, but they didn't play poorly, right? They outplayed Nevada for large stretches of that game. So, we just have to accept that they're a good team. That's all there is to it. Paulie, it's funny. You could tell, right? You can tell, and I always look at this stuff. I know, and I didn't even hear the rumor, but I watch like the interactions with coaches on the bench and stuff with their assistants. And you can tell that Leon trusts Carl. He does. He's in his ear or vice versa all the time. And I wouldn't be surprised. Okay. And who knows if there's a plan in place, if it's in writing, if it's just one of those handshake under the table things. I don't know. We'll have to see, but it wouldn't surprise me at all. What can Nevada finish at, Mike? I mean, listen, like I said, you're going to be a sizable underdog when you go to Viejas, right? You do not have to go to GCU. So you're done with GCU. We mentioned the 3 teams at the top already. So you take those 3 out and GCU out, and there's really not a game on the board other than that you can't win, okay? We mentioned them. If you can win Tuesday, then you could finish – you should. Let me rephrase that. If you win on Tuesday, you should finish 15-5, okay? I know people are going to say, what? But all that would require you to do is beat either New Mexico or Utah State at home, okay? You lose at San Diego State. That gives you your 4th loss. You would have won at Boise, and then you're done playing Boise. You're already done playing GCU. If you lose at San Diego State and you split the other 2, that gives you your 5 losses. And then all you have to do is, and I know it's not easy, but look, if you want to be a top team, you got to do it. You will have to beat CSU, but I believe that game's going to be at Lawler, and you would have to win at Wyoming. That will be a tricky one. You'll have to beat Fresno at home, and I guess you'll obviously have to win at UNLV, okay? But like none of those are games where it's like, we're in trouble there, right? So if you want to be a top team and be in the mix down the stretch and have chances for all of this stuff, and you win Tuesday, you got a really good shot at 15-5. I think that Nevada fans would take that. I think you would have signed up for that at the start of the year, and it's in play. It's in play. It is. All right. We'll see what happens with Armo trading. If he's able to come back, and be effective, right? There's a big difference. Okay. Hopefully he is, but we'll see. All right. So let's wrap that one up and tie it into, I've been kind of bleeding that into Boise. We'll go to the other game now. And I hopped on BJ's post game because he had to get out of there. He was obviously flying home right away, catching a direct charter with a booster or somebody. So he wanted me to finish his show on the Boise channel, talking specifically about Boise before I came over here. So if you were on there, you might hear some of the thoughts replayed, but it'll be different in theory because I'm talking GCU here now too. And they're the ones you got to start with because they were very impressive. 86-69. I always forget to do this. 86-69. I didn't put this on before. 89-76 was the final at Lawler. And 86-69 in Phoenix at the Globe, as I guess they like to call it. So, yeah, great atmosphere. BJ said that several times in tweets. The announcers said it. Then again, the announcers just say stuff. They also said Dylan Andrews has done a great job running the offense this year for Boise. So, when they come on air and say that, you really have to question if they've done any homework at all or if they're just kind of spitting out stuff that they want to I have no idea, okay? Because clearly he has not done a good job of running the offense this year. And I think anybody that has watched them consistently would say the same thing. So no, in fact, he has not done a good job of running the offense. And, it wasn't his fault tonight. I'm not blaming the game on him, but I'm just just proving a point that the announcers just say stuff sometimes. But anyway, great atmosphere there. We knew the fans would bring it, knew the Havocs would be out in full force on a Friday night. They live for that stuff down there. They give you, a dress code and not a dress code, but just a theme and all that stuff, and good stuff there from the fans. That's really what college basketball is about. So props to them. And I was unsure what we would get from GCU tonight again. After losing the game, I look at that stuff maybe more than I should, certainly more than other people do, because sometimes it just comes down to your execution. Party says he enjoys watching GCU play defense. Yeah, 100%. They're fantastic defensively. I wasn't sure if they were going to be engaged mentally the way they needed to be tonight for 40 minutes after the way they collapsed and handed that game to Nevada on Tuesday night. Now, Nevada earned it in overtime, but in the last minute-ish of regulation, they did themselves no favors, right? So Josh says, and Brentley says, New Mexico, San Diego State, GCU, 18, 19, 20 in Ken Pom defensive rating. Interesting. Which offense, if any, can get hot enough to break through the gauntlet in the tournament? If GCU can get hot on offense in March like tonight, watch out. Yeah, it's funny. GCU fans are used to just kind of like dominating their conference. Excuse me, man. Dominating their conference tournament and punching their ticket to march through there. Not going to be that easy in the Mountain West, but they can do it. Now, the key for them is going to be, can they get, a 3 or 4 seed, right? Because, really, I've said for long enough now, you got to get that 4 seed because it gets you an off day, blah, blah, blah. But really, you want to get that 3 seed now, okay? Which is going to be tough because you have the 3 hammers at the top. But if you get the 4 seed, you're going to have to play either, if it's GCU, you're going to have to play Nevada in the quarters. And if you're Nevada, you're going to have to play GCU in the quarters. Okay. So the 4-5 game is going to be a war to get to and then you're going to have to be 2 more studs in the semis and the finals to win it all. So, again, this is the spot you put yourself in, but you really got to try and get that 3 seed. Not that the 6 seed will be a walkover. Could be Boise, could be CSU. We have no idea. But obviously, it won't be anybody the caliber of the top 5 teams. I think it's pretty clear that the top 5 are above everybody else right now in different layers. I'm not saying the top 5 are all equal, but there's quite a bit of separation now from 5 to everybody else. I think we should all be able to understand that, right? Johnny, props to GCU over Boise. I don't know that New Mexico can get hot enough offensively. I don't. Especially against good coaching and good teams back to back to back. Maybe I'm wrong because Olin's as good as it comes. But you're asking about which offense can get hot. I guess San Diego State can too, because you need one hot game out of Bird, or maybe 2 out of 3 by Bird, 2 out of Waters. Maybe Guath is back by that point. You still have some other options. I don't know. Demerol, very good. Yeah, he's improved. Drew called him out earlier in the season. More opportunity. Yeah, they don't run any sets for him, that's for sure. He does it on his own for the most part. Okay, he'll get it once in a while in there, but GCU fans will travel. I totally believe that. The problem is, New Mexico and San Diego State fans and others to an extent, but they're not going to be the majority there in the Thomas and Mack. Jared says Boise 4 games in 4 days. Well, they're going to have to do it. You figure they'll get 2 games in 2 days, and hopefully for them they can get 3 in 3. I don't know if they can get to the final, but we'll see. And yeah, Han, I really do like GCU's defense. I've said this all year. This was their calling card. I was not impressed with their offense in the non-con. That shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, but their defense is very good. Okay, top 20 in the country. Boise struggles in the paint. Henley had an impressive game. Let me put the stats on for just a quick minute or two as we can look and see kind of what this game was all about. What you're going to see here is that GCU shot 9 out of 15 for 3. They're not a great shooting team, but when you only take 15 again, just like Nevada, if you take good shots, you're going to knock some down. They got some open shots. He shot 59% from the field. Like, that's pretty good. I did not expect them to score 86 tonight on Boise. Okay, did not. No way. Credit to them. Massive credit. Henley had 20, and he started slow. He really pumped it in, got it going in the second half. Plus, he had 5 boards and 6 assists in 36 minutes, and that was a few days after playing 44 minutes. Credit to that young man. Right now, he's a first-team all-conference player, 100%. Owusu Anane finished with 16. He had 11 very early because he made a bunch of threes early. He also had 7 rebounds. Stromer, career-high 16. So Shaw was absent again. Stromer filled in, career-high 16. I'll tell you what, if you can get Stromer making shots, that gives you another weapon. He's a guy you were counting on in the preseason, and he just never got it done. But if he can make shots, yeah, look out. He's another option. Williams and Moore struggle a little bit, 5 for 14 total, combined for 14 points. Turned it over 3 times. They weren't as necessary tonight, but their defense is what did it. They held Boise to 40% shooting. The game got choppy for a bit there from maybe the 15-minute mark until the 5-minute mark because the officials wanted to call a ton of fouls. That kind of drove me nuts a little bit. But I will say, too, you got to stop. I tweeted out, you got to stop fouling, especially when they made it clear that they're going to start calling stuff. Stop fouling. Stop fouling. Play defense without fouling, okay? Like, I get it. Sometimes you get bothered by the inconsistency of the whistles, but stop fouling. There was a stretch there. I'll have to go back later on and look through the box score. It felt like there was a foul on like 9 out of 10 possessions. It was driving me nuts. Stop fouling, okay? Buchanan was solid. Parolin was solid offensively. Meadow only 4 shots. How does that guy only get 4 shots? Like, I don't get it. And he made 3. He made 3 of them. How do you only get 4 shots when you're one of the leading scorers and you make 3 of them? He played 29 minutes. Like that. So you look at the numbers. They make 21 field goals. They have 15 assists. So if that was, a Colorado State team with Medved or Ali or a Utah State, I'd be like, oh, man, they shared the ball. Good job getting assists on your made buckets. So I look at it and it's like 15 assists on 21 makes, not bad. You only turn it over 11 times. I'll take that. But then it's like, no, they don't run good enough offense. They just don't run good enough offense. I mean, they scored 41 in the first half, and then they scored 1 point in like the first 7 minutes of the second half. Now, you got to give GCU some credit there for stepping it up and locking it down a little bit defensively, for sure, okay? They deserve some credit. There's no doubt about it, all right? But, man, you got to run something better for 6 minutes to get a bucket. You didn't make a bucket the first 6 or 7 minutes of the second half. That can't happen in a big game like this. Can't happen. Because and Leon said it post game, you're putting pressure when in the first half, when it's a shootout, you're putting pressure on your offense. You got to keep scoring because you can't get stops. Well, there at the start of the second half, you're not scoring. You're putting pressure on your defense. Okay. It's like football. Same thing. When your offense knows your defense can't get a stop, your offense feels like they got to score every time. It's no good. You can't make mistakes then. So just not good enough. Nato, who I don't want to say it was down on him early in the season. I just said he was a freshman. He's not ready to play big minutes. And I wasn't sure about him right at that point yet. Okay. Then he started to pick up his play, and Andrews was not playing well, and Nato was playing better. And then I was like, okay, Nato, he's improving. Maybe he needs more of Andrews' minutes. But now Nato, he's regressed. I hate to say regress because it's only a couple weeks sample here. He's just coming back down to earth a little bit. And so I think this is what you get out of freshmen who just are not at that level yet. He's just not ready to be that guy. And as a result, like, huge play tonight, and I hate to throw it all at his feet, but these are important plays in games. You were down like 10 or 11. You make a couple buckets in a row. You get a few stops in a row. You're down 6. He gets a loose ball around midcourt, 55 feet away, and he just tries to blitz down the floor out of control, and he fires up a shot that had no chance to go in. trying to draw a foul or finish over somebody that wasn't going to happen, and GCU comes down the other end and hits a three. And instead of being down 4 or getting a better look and hitting a 3 and cutting it to 3, now you're down 9. And then the crowd gets into it, and then, you have a bad possession again, and now you're down 11. Like those things, that's like basketball IQ, court awareness, knowing the game. It's not there for him, which is fine because it's not there for most freshmen. But when you're starting senior, Andrews doesn't know how to play the position, you got to try something. So now you're up the creek without a paddle. You're going upstream here without paddles. And that's why they are where they are, okay? And I do think they've played better. I know the opposition wasn't great. I do think they've played better, but I think it's like there's a ceiling here with what they can do because you just don't get consistent enough guard play. You can't get 4 shots from Meadow tonight. You can't do that. That can't happen. Okay. Fielder was not super either. He wanted to take a couple threes tonight early on, and then he didn't seem to want to bang inside, maybe a little intimidated of the GCU physicality inside. And yes, let's credit GCU here. They have improved leaps and bounds since the start of the year. And I apparently, I don't have a history of following them a ton when they were in the WAC, but that's what Drew does. Figure stuff out, coaches them up, switches some things, tweaks some things, and let's go. And that's what they're doing right now. They were a bonehead play away or a missed free throw away from being on a ridiculous run right now and being 1 game back of San Diego State with the tiebreaker over them for the time being. Okay. As it is, they are 2 games back, don't have the tiebreaker over Nevada, which does hurt them, but they're playing as good as anybody. I'm telling you, they are. I know they lost by 20 in the pit. They will have their chance, just like Nevada will, to get that one back when the Lobos go to the Globe. I don't, in a few weeks or whenever it is. I don't know. Okay. Clearly, they're going to have to eat their medicine when they go to the Spectrum and Viejas. I'll be surprised if they win at either of those places, but we'll see. It's college basketball. Who knows? Okay. But because they're playing good and defense travels. And if they shoot the ball like they shot it tonight, they'll be in these games. Okay. Now, part of it was the defense of Boise wasn't quite up to standard, wasn't up to snuff. But, yeah. And Party says it here. I didn't quite get to the last couple comments here. Drew has consistently had GCU playing their best ball at the end of the season. Mountain West is another level from the WAC, but you wouldn't count them out. Yeah, I certainly would not either. 100% no. I mean, there's no way I would count them out. I think if they're in that 4-5 game, it's going to be a little difficult because, again, you're going to go through a physical battle against Nevada in the quarters. Then you're going to have to come right back the next night if you get by Nevada in the semis against the 1 seed, which is, who knows, San Diego State, Utah State, New Mexico, whatever, and then beat one of the other 3 again. But look, again, no matter who that is, that's a position you put yourselves in, and you'd like to have that opportunity, right? Like, that's what it's all about. So I'm not counting them out at all, okay? I don't remember what did I say about UNM? I don't even know what I said about them. What did I say about them, Nick? New Mexico isn't impressive, in my opinion. Utah State, GCU, 2 teams. So you like New Mexico. So you're not a San Diego State fan, Jared, huh? You don't think the Aztecs can do it? Spectrum on wheels, as they call it. Yeah, they'll get to the Thomas and Mack too. And yeah, Johnny, let's not count Nevada out because they certainly. But although I will say this, Alford has not had a lot of success in the Mountain West Conference tournament. He has not. And Nevada fans certainly know that. Bohm, I don't know. I mean, he is what he is. What did he give you tonight? I mean, he gave you 6 minutes. He was out there for 2 shifts, 2 points, 1 for 1, 3 fouls. I mean, he's a guy who deserves 6 minutes, I guess. He doesn't deserve more than that. He's a guy to spell somebody who's in foul trouble or needs a break. He's not going to give you much energy, maybe a loose ball. He's not really going to do much tangibly for you out there. I don't know. No more NATO. Go with Bohm. I don't know. That's risky because I don't know if he can handle it against pressure. And I would guess Leon doesn't think so either. He would have tried it. But Can GCU weather a cold offensive night on the road? The home crowd jacks them up and they feed off of it. Absolutely. But in Vegas against one of the tough teams, if they're not hot, yeah, that's the big thing. You saw the stat there. I mean, I don't know how many. They have 3 losses in the last few years at home. So you know they're not going to lose at home a whole lot. It's different against good competition in a neutral. The defense travels, which is a good thing. Okay. And a lot of times in those neutral courts, even though the Thomas and Mack, it is a neutral court, but the teams have played there in obviously when they go to Vegas to play against the Rebels. So it's not like they won't have played there, but sometimes those neutral court games with the different lighting and setting and basket setups and all that, they tend to be lower scoring games, but I don't know. GCU's year, Paulie. Leon in the first round is a tune-up game for someone this year. We'll see who it is. Yeah, I agree, hon. The last 10 minutes took forever, 100%. Is that a reflection of the are you talking about the offense, Jared? Yeah, part of it has to be on the offensive, on Tim and the offensive staff. Has to be. Part of it, always goes to the players, but you got to put your guys in a position to succeed, give them an offensive system that they will flourish in. Now, is it possible that this is the best one for them and they're not capable of doing it in any system? I guess that's possible. Parolin, 0. Is that what he had? 0 rebounds. He scored the ball. So what did he have? 11 points and no rebounds. Yeah, that should not happen, obviously. 11 Boise assists. 11 of Boise's assists were in the first half. That's what you're saying. Okay. Well, there you go. Yeah. I mean, GCU locked down in the second half and Boise didn't really have any answers. And so that's where you need some adjustments then by your staff, and Boise didn't get it, which is disappointing. There's no doubt about it. So there you go. From the Pack fan, Vern Harris, who was definitely, I had to cringe a little bit when I heard the announcers, who was the O'Donnell was the play-by-play, not the play, the other guy, the analyst on the Silver State game, and I heard him say, Vern Harris, only 33 fouls. Yeah, that we'll take that, right? The league must have had a few words to say to the crew. Yeah, whatever it takes. 30. That was good. Now again, it's weird because sometimes I say Nevada just fouls too much. So how do you get out of not Nevada, UNLV? How do you get out of a UNLV game with them only fouling 33 times? I don't know. Yeah, NATO's not ready for D1. He's just not. Yeah, might have been wearing purple. I don't know. Nevada does not play. Oh, that's the game they missed, Mike. You're right. Well, that's even better then, right? Because that's a possible game that you would lose. So they don't play. That's great because they already won there. So, yeah, I understand what Bowie there. Tough situation there. You'd like to have him, but he's obviously clearly not going to, play this year. 12,000 there. Very good. Ready for that rivalry game. We'll see if they can get it in there later. Numbers for maybe the New Mexico game, maybe the Utah State game. Yeah, NATO, Josh, and Brentley, 2 horrible decisions on the fast break, and both times GCU hits a 3. I just mentioned the 10-point swing. Second time felt like a game, set, match. Yeah, and the rough thing about it for me is that it's not the first time this year that he's done it. It's not, right? Like, he's been out of control many times, and I find it hard to believe that Leon or somebody else has not pointed that out in film or when he comes out of the game or in practice or something. I find it hard to believe that he has not been told that, right? Like, you can't strip your players of all of their freedom to make plays, right? You have to allow them that freedom. It's basketball. It's not football, okay? You call plays, but within the play, they have options to do things, okay? You're not calling a sweep left in football or a 10-yard out or a curl or whatever, right? You have to, your guys have freedom to make plays. But man, like, this is not the first time all year that NATO's been out of control. It's not the 10th time he's been out of control. I've said it going back to November. And so how is it not? It's like Kamani Hamilton with his fouls. How is that not rectified yet? Like, I just don't get it. Like, that's what coaching is. It is fixing things that hurt you as a team. And NATO pretending he's racing Dayton Albury up the court in a 94-foot dash does not help the team. We're not doing relay races here. This isn't camp, okay? We're not running indoor track. You're playing basketball. So it doesn't matter how fast you are. If you don't get where you're going with the ball and make a good decision, it doesn't matter. And, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Because, again, it has happened time and time again this year with him, okay? And has he had flashes? He has. But he's had much more negative flashes than positive flashes. And it's hurting him because if he was flourishing or developing like some other freshmen, he'd be getting a lot more minutes and they'd be doing a lot, they'd be a lot more successful. So frustrating. Did Evans get hurt? Oh, you mean because he didn't play a lot? What did he get? He got 4 minutes. I don't know. Drew hasn't played him a lot the last couple of games. I don't think he got hurt. Maybe he did if somebody wants to add into that. Pack, I get that. Any chance, I thought about that. I've talked to BJ about that. It's just, I feel the reason why we do that is because, most people are tuning in and not necessarily in person. I guess it does kind of screw you guys that are there and you don't hear it because you're just getting out of the arena. So it's tough. I get it. I mean, I can kind of maybe do that a little bit differently. So maybe flip it around. I hate to kind of I don't know. I guess it's something we can do. I appreciate the feedback and go in a different order. I don't know about that free throw thing either, Paulie, like why he came right back in then if he couldn't shoot the free throw. That didn't make any sense to me. How many teams make the tournament? I think it's a coin flip right now, Nicholas, between 2 and 3. Like I see like less than 5% chance that we get 4. It might even be like less than 2% that we get 4. I would probably say 50% that we get 2. I would say 35% that we get, maybe 30% that we get, I don't know, maybe somebody help me out here. 50 to 55% that we get 2, 35 to 40% that we get 3, maybe 5%-ish that we get 1. The dreaded scenario. I don't think that will happen, but maybe 8% that we get 1. I still think we'll get 2 to 3. There's a lot of games left. We need all of those 3 teams. And, I'll keep Grand Canyon and Nevada in mind too. They can't lose to anybody else. They can't lose to any of the teams not among those 5. Can't do it. Even now or in the tournament. Can't do it. Have to win as many as you can. Okay. Now, obviously, Utah State first, New Mexico second, San Diego State third. That's the order right now. Okay, the pecking order from the bracketologists. Now, that will change as we go on here, but that's where it's at right now. What else do we got on here? I think it is fair to say, BW, that GCU will be the new San Diego State in terms of for New Mexico. Yes, 100%. I agree, Jared. He's still playing like a freshman, and it's too late for that. It's too far into the season. Pastner did get a good crowd tonight, Vargs. You're right. He got more than what he's had lately. He got what he was asking for. It was just in the wrong arena. They are out of sync. I mean, right out of the gate. And I mean, it's you could say it's on Jones. I just don't know if they're tuned in to what Pastner is buying right now. You could tell how now they did play well at the end of the first half. Okay, they outplayed Nevada for the last 5 minutes of the first half, but he was beyond frustrated with it the first 8 minutes. He called one timeout, was ready to call like 2 others, and it's like they're just not executing like what he's trying to push as a game plan. Why? I don't get it. They just got embarrassed their last game. Now, Nevada was playing great, but man, you got to come out with some more fire in your belly than that in a rivalry game after you just got humiliated three nights ago. Like, come on, that's bad. Jared, do you think 2 max? I think we can get 3. I'm not saying we're going to, but I think we can get 3. Aztecs have given up 80 only 4 times this year. One of them, of course, was the overtime game against Boise. 68 to Arizona, 60 or less 7 times. San Diego State goes through them and their defense. Yep. no doubt. Does Nevada get an NIT bid? It's interesting. I don't think they wanted one last year, right? They I think offered, or maybe the players, maybe it was because like guys like Davidson just wanted to get out of Dodge, but they turned one of those down last year. I think it was both the NIT and the Crown. They kind of said no to. I do think they would go in it. He's got a couple young guys. They didn't play in the postseason last year. For them to get an NIT bid, they would have had that finished pretty well. So I think they would take it. Yeah. And I think they'll get one. Actually, I do, if unless they collapse. But so Jared, you think Utah State in, and then San Diego State or New Mexico and Dayton? Okay. FA playing well. Yeah, Demerol had a very good. He's been good for a while. The bone foul was a shooting foul because it was an and one, I thought. Yeah, I did a pod last night, Jared. I didn't get to one last week. And then I was sick last weekend, and that's why I didn't pump one out until last night. So I was definitely behind, but I got one out last night, and I'll do another one this weekend after tomorrow night's game's probably Sunday. Nevada declined an IT bid because they would only had 6 scholarship players. Yeah, because a couple guys had already gone into the portal, so that makes sense. Who knows if it'll be different this year? I have no idea. They're going to lose a couple guys. They have a few freshmen. We'll see. Their Pac fan also said the same thing. They didn't have enough to play. Guys had gone into the portal. So we'll see. 3 guys left their portal, 7 injuries. Yeah, we'll have to find out if they want to stick around and do that or not. I mean, I'd like to see him in the postseason. I know, some of those tournaments don't count as much anymore, but it would be nice to get back into the postseason, and a reward for a good season after a bad one last year. So, all right, let's talk about tomorrow for 10 minutes here. We're at 51 minutes. Appreciate all of you guys sticking around. Don't forget Sun Cruiser, and what I always say after Sun Cruiser down there at the bottom, at Mountain West BNN. Please go subscribe. Just free subscription. Doesn't cost you anything. Just click on that and subscribe at Mountain West BNN. Okay, so tomorrow we got 4 games. Now, I don't know. I saw different things on this. And somebody maybe can answer it. Is the Utah State San Diego State game at noon Mountain, or is that 11 a.m. Mountain? I saw somewhere 1 p.m. here. Yeah, you're right, Nick. San Jose State did make the NIT last year because there were a bunch of teams that declined. You're right. First time you're BW, appreciate that. So it is 11. I couldn't believe that. I thought I was like, nah, there's no way they're going to do that. I appreciate all you guys telling me that, because at first I thought I saw 2 for me, which will be noon out there. And then I saw somewhere else and it said 1, because I was trying to plan my day in the morning, take the little one out and do something so I could come home and watch the game. And then I saw it was at 1, and I was like, that can't be right. Like, that's too early. Like, that's an advantage for Utah State. I know it's only an hour different, but man, that's a 10 a.m. start body clock for San Diego State. Like, you never get that. That never happens, right? Like, I guess that happens in football if you're a UCLA and you fly to play Penn State here and it's a noon kickoff and you start at 9 a.m. That's an early body clock game for you on a Saturday morning. Now, obviously they flew in, they've been there and whatever, but man, that disrupts your whole routine, your pregame meal, your warm up, getting taped by the trainer, stretching, all that stuff, man. That's an early wake up call. So, not that the Aggies needed more of an edge, but a little bit of an edge there also. I did see that they were a 6-point favorite, which, I kind of figured that. You give them a couple points already on top for the home court advantage, certainly if a higher power rating at this point. And so that doesn't really surprise me. I know that might look to some people like, that's a little high, but look, Utah State's been a wagon at home. UNLV, the clear exception there. And I talked about this a little bit the other day. After I watched the 2 teams play like side by side on Wednesday, I just feel like Utah State has more potential to pop at any moment than the Aztecs do. Okay. Now, I do trust San Diego State's defense a little more than Utah State's. Okay. I think like everybody would agree with that. Okay. Now, Utah State's defense looked good the other night, but that was against a listless Wyoming effort. All right, let's be honest. Listless, okay? They're not going to get that tomorrow, okay? It might be a sluggish start because the guys are half asleep and they got the crust in their eyes and they're trying to wake up, okay? But I think it's going to be I don't think Utah State, I'll be stunned if they're running up and down and score 93 points tomorrow. Okay. I know they have the potential to go off, but they're also going to be defended by athleticism and length tomorrow. They have not seen that a ton. They struggled with it a little bit when they played in Phoenix against the Lopes. I guess that will be 2 weeks ago by the time tomorrow rolls around. Okay. Now, Harrington, you guys see anything on him today? I think he's 50-50. Guath still out for sure. If Harrington's out, that definitely is another little bit of an edge there for the Aggies, because I think it hurts the depth of the Aztecs. Now, they have players they can go to, but again, like, I'm not wild about the minutes for like Odin and Newman. You got to use those guys a little bit. There's no doubt about it. But what are you really going to get from those guys? Like, do you fear, as an Aggie fan, do you fear Odin? Do you fear Newman? Not really. I think most Aztec fans would agree that those guys have kind of been disappointments for them this year, right? Simmons, very talented young freshman. I mean, is he going to go on the road in a hostile environment in front of that fan, section and that crowd and light it up tomorrow? I don't know. Like, Harrington could. He's got a little bit of an extra gear and more poise right now for a freshman. But then you're kind of leaving it in the hands of the big guns, right? And basically, like, it's a coin flip. What are you going to get out of Miles Byrd? What are you going to get out of Miles Byrd? Is it going to be the Bird that showed up and shut everybody up last week against UNLV? Or is it going to be the Bird that almost put a goose egg on the board the game before that and then struggled for the first 25 minutes against CSU on Wednesday? I don't know. Neither does Dutcher, nor do Aztec fans. Well, on the offensive end, because you do know you'll get some defense from them. Okay, you do know you'll get the defensive effort from them. So let's look at that. Who do they put Bird on? Do they put Bird on Falslev? Do they put Bird on Collins? Interesting choice. For me, just me, I would probably put Bird on Collins. Okay, I would. You saw when Utah State lost those 2 games, Collins was pretty ineffective. Okay, Falslev seems to find a way to get stuff done no matter what. And that's why he's the MVP of the league right now. He just gets stuff done. It doesn't matter who's guarding him. He could have Gary Payton on him, the glove. He'd still find a way to get stuff done and make an impact on the game. If you stick somebody on Collins and try to really cut him off, he struggles a bit. He still can get you 12 points. He still outperforms Bird offensively when Bird struggles. Okay. But if you're Dutcher tomorrow, you can't let Collins go for 23, right? And hit 4 threes and hit some pull-ups and get out in transition. You can't allow that. That's going to really hurt you. Okay. Because again, Falslev's going to get his, and they have so many other options. I don't think you'll get the game from King that you got on Wednesday. But hey, guess what? Guess who woke up the other night was Tucker Anderson, okay? And I didn't even mention it on my show because I was talking about so many other things. But amidst all the other stuff in that game, that may have been the best thing that happened to the Aggies that night was Anderson. I don't even remember what the final stat line for him was. I think he hit his first 3 threes. Again, I was watching 2 things at once. Maybe it was 3 for 4, something like that. But he made a few, and he hasn't been close in the last month. And I was surprised when Calhoun went to him as early as he did, because he's done it a few times, and it has not worked, and it has not worked, and it has not worked. It finally worked on Wednesday, and maybe he unlocked the key to Anderson. And let's not forget, he almost single-handedly won the game for the Aggies in Viejas last December or January, whenever it was. He was huge in that game as a new Aggie, okay? And he hasn't really done a ton since then, but maybe tomorrow now at home in a comfortable environment, as a bench guy to spell somebody for some minutes, maybe he can make some shots, right? They have other options too. I didn't even talk about Drake Allen, who I think's been better lately, right? So they just have more options for me. Now, again, ultimately, they're going to have to make some shots, whether they have more shot makers or not. But let me run through a lot of comments from you guys. Appreciate that, of course. Let me get caught up on the chat. Boise hiring me as offensive coach. You know, the ironic thing, Jared, is that when I was, making my name as like an assistant, much lower levels, I was always a defensive guy. I could talk some offense a little bit, but my thing was, I agree, 10 a.m. Wow. My thing was defense. And that's why it drives me nuts on when you have breakdowns and when you foul jump shooters and you foul 3-point shooters and all that stuff. Early tip makes it easier for people in Salt Lake City to go to Logan. Okay, well, that's fair. Yeah, I knew it. Don't forget, yes, Big Boy CBS tomorrow. So 1 o'clock Eastern here for me, 11 Pacific. Last year they were 12 Mountain at New Mexico. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you need the good bird if you're an Aztec fan. There's no doubt about it. Advantage for Utah State, loud crowd. There's no doubt it will be a loud crowd. Yeah, surprised that Wyoming part of Mountain West play. Yeah, CBS. Down low scoring game. You don't think either? Yeah, that's how I would tend to look at it too. I think you'll get a sluggish first half, maybe, and then maybe some shot making in the second half. Is elevation not much of a difference maker at the college level? It is when you're not around it a lot, right? Somebody was talking about that on the air last week. If you're around it and you're conditioned to it, then it doesn't make as much of a deal. If you're not used to it, then heck yeah, it gets to you. There's no doubt about it. Your lungs are going to burn, man. I mean, trust me. Paul, Aztecs need to steal one for a cushion. Yeah, if they get this one, they're really in the driver's seat. There's no doubt about it. I don't care what anybody else says. They're in the driver's seat if they can steal one tomorrow. Elevation, Wyoming highest, of course, and then Air Force would be second highest. Yes, Harrington leg. Dutch says it will be how much pain he can play with. Okay, so seems like he will be a game time decision. The early tip certainly doesn't help that. If it was later in the day, maybe. So Anderson had 11 on Wednesday. Yeah, so he made 3 threes. I don't know if I don't remember his other bucket. Maybe I tuned out by that point. But yeah, so, good for him. Yeah, I agree, Nick. Utah State's complimentary and role players are more trustworthy right now. There's no doubt. Utah State 51. Oh, wow. 51% shooting as a team. San Diego State holds opponents at 39. And it's funny because I remember hearing Aztec fans for not lately, but, earlier on in the season talking about how it wasn't a vintage San Diego State defensive team. Now, look, they may not have that brick wall inside like a Spencer or a Mensa or guys like that, but Bird's length helps them out a lot. BJ Davis is a good defender. Harrington is a good defender. Haven't even mentioned the Goreville or Compton yet. And I like the way that the Goreville has steadily improved here. Compton's a beast. So he could be an X factor tomorrow. He's a guy who I would trust for the Aztecs off the bench to give you good minutes. Like he has an athletic advantage over a Templin, for example, right? Now he could be X'd out a little bit by Gary Clark. We need a good Gary Clark if you're a Utah State fan, right? Interesting down. If it's Brad Nessler and Robbie Hummel, okay, good. Yeah, absolutely. That it wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, look, these two programs and New Mexico, to be fair, all three of them, they have pretty good reputations around the country. Okay, I know once it gets down to it, comparatively to the SEC and the Big Ten, it's never going to be the same type of hype, right? But this is a pretty big game. San Diego State carries big name recognition. Utah State does too, especially when you play at the Spectrum. It's a great atmosphere. People around the nation are clued into it. They're well aware that the Aggies have pumped coaches out and sent them to different conferences all over the country year after year. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if it's Nessler and Hummel. And I mean, look, they're putting it on at 1 o'clock for a reason, right? Not that they don't care about you guys out there in the mountain or the west, but they selected this time zone for TV purposes, and they put it on when they wanted it on. And it just happened to be early for you guys, but it's 1 o'clock here on the East Coast. Yeah, I like that call, Paul. Put BJ on Falslev because he's active and would stay in his face. I like that. You can put Bird on Collins and BJ on Falslev and take your chances there, okay? Yeah, so interesting stuff here, all right? Let's see what adjustments the coaches make. Who's going to make the shots? I would anticipate this one. We should get one coming down to the last 4 minutes at the under 4 with both teams having a chance to win the game. I'd be disappointed if that's not what happens. Okay. All right. I do want to talk about the other games, I guess, I'm not going to spend any time really. Fresno's a 10-point road favorite. That's all you need to know there. They've won like 3 road games in the last 2 years combined, and they're a 10-point road favorite. So, that one, there's not really much worth talking about. And then the late game, New Mexico at San Jose, they're a large favorite too. Assuming San Jose will have more of their guys back because they did play the other night. Olin doesn't seem to be the kind, and I mentioned this too on Wednesday's show. Olin doesn't seem to be the kind of guy like Patino that would allow his guy. I'm not saying Patino allowed it, but under Patino, the Lobos had a tendency to kind of fall into these trap games and look ahead games and fall asleep at the wheel. And before you know it, they're caught losing to Air Force as a 23-point favorite 2 years ago. Okay. They obviously have a look ahead game on Wednesday night against Utah State with, their one of their big games left in the pit. Right. And so, can you keep your guys focused here? If you can, and I trust Olin to do so, then you're going to be in a very good position because the Spartans don't have the firepower that you have, nor should they be able to break through. This could be a game where, as we've seen it, Aggie fans, Aztec fans, other fans from Boise, whoever else, where the Spartans make shots in the first half and are hanging around and they have 35 points with 2 minutes left. And you're like, why is this game a 2-point game? And then you just smother them in the second half and they don't even get to 60 because your defense will just choke them off. So that's kind of what I would expect there. And the last game, just for a minute, and I want to talk about is the border war. Last one scheduled for a while. Well, at all, last one scheduled. San Jose State will be without Maundi. Yeah, he hasn't played in a while. I like him too inside. They need him back. I don't know if he's coming back or not, but the selection committee definitely never benefits the teams out west. And Mount West, we all know that. That's unfortunate. But look, these teams are going to play in football next year. We'll see about basketball. I think they want to schedule it, but they're not going to schedule home and homes. So we have this one here in Laramie, few weeks away down in Moby. We'll see what they do for next year. Rivalry game. This one's going to matter to Sundance and Wyoming. I'm not going to say it's not going to matter to CSU, but for me, it will matter more for Wyoming. Sundance is a Wyoming guy through and through. They have not been playing well. Like this is, as I would say to my buddies, as I would call it, this is like last call for Wyoming here. All right. You just got blitzed and lit up by the Aggies. There's nothing wrong with that, but you want to see a little bit more fight, right? Like that game was not competitive for any parts of the second half at all. And you don't like to see that much, okay? So when that happens, you expect your guys to respond the next game out because you as a coach are going to do your best to take some of the blame, lay into them a little bit, know how to push the buttons, have some good practices, and come out ready to be fired up the next game out. Well, it just so happens that your next game out is against your rival, and you don't know if you're going to play them again in your arena. Now, I know that the players don't care as much, thanks, Paulie, appreciate that, as they used to about this rivalry because they're not Wyoming guys, right? I've said that about multiple teams here before. It's not their fault, just the way that college sports is today, right? So do they care as much as they did 10 years ago? No. That's on Sundance then and his staff to impress upon them the importance of this game. They'll they will get their biggest crowd of the season tomorrow. I haven't heard anything about weather to impede that. They'll get their biggest crowd of the season tomorrow. Probably get some CSU fans to drive across the border as well. Should be a nice crowd. National TV at night. FS1, 9:30 Eastern, 7:30 Mountain. So good crowd, rivalry game, two teams in need of a win. But again, I'm not saying that Wyoming's going to win, or I'm not even saying they have to win, but they have to show up with their best effort right here. They have to. If you can't do it in this spot, you're not going to do it. It's not going to happen the rest of the season. Okay. Now CSU's going to try everything in their power to, shut that off and frustrate them, take them out of their rhythm, slow the game down. That's what Ollie wants to do this year. not let Wyoming run. Not, they're used to the altitude a little bit too, but not let the altitude play a factor, not let the depth become an issue. That Sundance likes to do and play a lot of guys. Ali's going to slow the game down, all of that stuff. So, they have more offensive threats. We'll see what, I would think that Sundance would scrap that zone that he threw out there the other night against Utah State because it was not very effective, to say the least. So we'll see what happens there. And I don't even know who to give the edge to. I just think you'll get a max effort here from Wyoming, and them being at home and them with Sundance really kind of hammering that home. You give this slight edge to Wyoming, but we'll see. I could easily see the Rams going in there and just shooting Wyoming out, and Wyoming can't match the firepower. So, 2 games late. That's a 9:30 Eastern start for me, and New Mexico San Jose is at 10 Eastern. So it's unfortunate that the Utah State San Diego State game is so far away from the show. But hopefully you guys that tuned in for that game tune back in for the live show, because I'll be back after the second that New Mexico goes final. I'll be back in here to break them all down, all 4 games from the day. We'll see if we have anybody joining us. I don't know. I'll have to talk to BJ, see what we want to do with that. Didn't really feel it in the cards tonight or on Wednesday night. So gone for an hour and 10 here. Pretty good. Nice crowd. Really appreciate you guys coming in and sticking around. Keep adding your comments in. One more push here for Sun Cruiser. Good stuff, actually is. And one more push at the bottom there. Subscribe to the channel, please. Spread the word. Get your friends to subscribe. Get your enemies to subscribe. Get somebody else to subscribe. Tell somebody to subscribe. All that stuff. Like to get some subscriptions up. Keep them going. At Mountain West BNN. Doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. Okay. Anything else here in the chat that I want to pump out? Committee, Mountain West. Yeah. I don't think the SEC is going to get 13 this year. They're pretty down. They have a handful of teams that are not going to be in the mix. And CSU did not play great. And I wasn't surprised by that. I kind of thought that might happen. I expect them to be focused tomorrow too. I keep stressing the Wyoming angle. I'm not saying CSU won't be ready to play. I do think they will be ready to play. And that's why I'm not here saying I definitely think that Wyoming will win, because I think you'll get a good effort from CSU. I'm just saying if you don't get it from Wyoming, there's alarm bells that need to go up there because there's an issue. But look, who knows? We have no idea what we're going to see. And that's why we're here, because we break it all down, talk about it, laugh about it, joke about it. You guys are a big part of that. So I appreciate you very much showing up, bringing your stuff in the comments, questions, all that stuff. I'm going to get out of here 1:30. Ran pretty long tonight. Didn't think I would go that long. But look, I did it because you guys were asking questions and firing stuff in the comments. So come on back tomorrow night and do that. Enjoy the games. Let's hope for good stuff all day. Let's get a good game in the afternoon. May the best team win. No nonsense, just a clean, straight up good game. Show the nation that we have a couple teams worthy of playing in the NCAA tournament. Give a good product out there. May the best team win. Let's have some stuff, at night then. Good stuff, good game, competitive stuff, whoever might win. Yeah, Texas got in 19, 16, and 14th place last year. I can't believe that happened. If that happens, I don't know. Appreciate that, Josh and Brentley. You're right. They were 14th place. I just think this year like LSU, South Carolina, Mississippi State, I don't think those teams are anywhere near it. And Oklahoma, to me, that's 5 teams already that are gonzo, which leaves you with 11 teams, and that's with everybody else getting in. And, Texas has work to do. Kentucky has work to do. I don't even know who else I'm forgetting about that might have work to do. But, they'll probably get 11, maybe even sneak 12 in. But, we'll see. We got other conferences to worry about, and our team's got to win too. So, all right. That's it for me. Thanks for being here, hanging out with me all night. Come on back tomorrow night and do the same thing here on another night in the Mountain West. Paul, appreciate you. Appreciate all of you. And hopefully we'll see you tomorrow night. Good night.